kind of seems weird, it's all grayed out. I don't know, kind of like that better actually. So, function notation. Good buttons. Good. Do you want me to go back to the title? No. Okay, excellent. So, why don't you get that written down? Basically, what's written up on the top is kind of like our focus. And it's not an equation you're going to have to come up with. So you're generally going to be given the functions. Now, there is part of our section where you're supposed to try to come up with the equation on your own, but you'd be given the information. So I guess my point is, it's not something that you're just supposed to know. Now this should be semi-familiar to you. In Algebra 1, you definitely started function notation, but very little, very infrequent, probably towards the end of the year. This came out smaller than I kind of thought it would. So I'm hoping you can read that. I don't know if anybody in the back needs me to read it off. F of x is the exact same thing as you writing y. So when you guys are used to making tables, like an xy table from an equation, f of x is the exact same thing. So instead of saying y equals 5x plus 3, we'll say f of x equals 5x plus 3. The reason that they start using function notation, I guess there's a couple different reasons, but one, the letter that's in the front identifies which equation. F of x is by far the most common, and I'm pretty positive they do that for function, like f, right? It doesn't have to be an f. So there can be any letter in the front. That just identifies the equation. So maybe you'll run into a problem where you've got a bunch of different equations written. Okay? So like in that situation, there's 3 different equations, and so then they label each equation differently so that when somebody says g of something, you know it's talking about this equation. When somebody says h of something, you know it's talking about that equation. So the whole point of the letter is just to identify different equations when you have a bunch of them. Because it absolutely starts getting confusing if they're all white. So that's pretty much the main reason. The second thing is this parentheses. The parentheses tells you what to put in place of the variable. So it's telling you what it's using. I purposely tried to write some examples below that showed that. Although I will say, I was trying to put like a shape, like a triangle or circle. Oh, I could have used an O. Shoot. I was trying to put a shape, but I couldn't find a shape in the alphabet, and I didn't want to search very hard. It really bothers me that this only has 1 line through the money symbol. Isn't money supposed to have 2?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was like one of those newer things that, like, you used to have 2 spaces after a period, but now it's only 1. So when I wrote f of 2, that's how they read this off. F of 2. This is telling me that I'm going to put 2 in place of the x. So I put 2 in place of the x and I get 13, right? This is telling me I'd put -3 in place of the x. Whatever is in the parentheses is what you put in place of x. So -15 plus 3 would be -12. And then this one, I have no idea what the money symbol stands for, but it basically is like a variable. So in that case, that is the final answer. So if it's something you can't calculate, then you just don't. If you can calculate it, you should. Do you guys somewhat remember this from Algebra 1? No, okay, so both. All right, I see mixed answers. There was something else I wanted to tell you about it. Obviously not super important because I don't remember. No, I don't care, let's just move on. Okay, now a function doesn't have to be just an equation. Like, it can be an equation, but it can be pictures, it could be a map. Like, I think 1.6 was the day we talked about functions. And functions can look a bunch of different ways. So it's possible you're going to be given anything and everything and asked to find out information from it. These two functions are similar because you can find out information for any number. But like if your information was a table, you can only find out for the information it told you. So this is why functions can look different and you can use them differently. A, I figure we'll do very little on because it's the exact same as the previous page. But I still should. Now I remember what I was going to tell you. Nothing to do with this. I found a replacement for my dice. I'm super happy. It has nothing to do with dice. I found a bingo roller. And it's filled with ping pong balls. And so I'm just going to use 1 through 40 for the ping pong balls. I'm kind of excited.
Or you could use a random number generator.
Not as fun. You want something that you have to physically do. I don't know. I don't know why, it's just more fun. The random number generator works. It's just, you know what, it doesn't have the it factor. So I'm pretty excited. It comes today. I found it at like midnight on Amazon.
Ooh.
Absolutely. We should, yes.
You sort of ordered the same day delivery at 11:59 and see what happened.
Well, I couldn't because I ordered it at like 12:30. So I did get 1-day delivery, but that's today.
I think same day means 24 hours.
It does.
In the order.
Yeah, it says same day, but it's 24 hours. I met the qualifying $35 order. Oh well. Okay, let's go with, we need to pick somebody who looks really tired. That definitely is Michael. Michael looks really tired. He was avoiding eye contact, all the classic signs of don't call on me. Although he doesn't have his hood up. Are you ready, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. On A, we have f of x equals 7 minus 2x. So this just tells me which equation. This is what we focus on. How do we find, I'll let you pick one of those three. Which one do you want to do?
0.
Good choice, that's what I would have picked too. Easiest by far. How do I plug in 0 into here?
-2 times 0.
True. I mean, there's the 7. You ignored that part, but yeah. So 7 minus 2 times 0. It is kind of like a -2 times 0, but and you're correct. I bet that might screw up some people. But So I'll just write it like this. So 7 minus nothing is 7. Excellent. Do you want to call him the next person? Jake, are you ready to help us?
No.
I think that's why he called on you. All right. It's called karma. Do you want the hardest one or easiest? Next to easiest. Let's go with hardest. F of 1/2. It's supposed to be hard, but it's not actually hard for this problem. Only for this problem. Okay, how do I plug in 1/2 into there?
7 minus 2 times 1/2.
Okay, perfect. How come 2 times 1/2 isn't going to be hard? What's half of 2?
1.
Excellent job. See? You're with it. You're ready to go. 7 minus 1, 6. I had to pause on that one. I felt like 6 was wrong. Go ahead.
Oh, could I answer?
Absolutely. Oh, I wasn't gonna do that one, but we can. What did you get for it?
So it would be f of negative 2 equals 7 minus 2 times negative 2, which would make it positive plus
Good.
4,
Good.
11.
Good. So the negative 2 makes this one flip to positive, so it'd be adding it. Okay, going to the picture, which is a little bit harder. It's actually by far easier once you know what to do. But if I just give you this picture and say, find this answer, a lot of people don't know what to do. I don't want to call on somebody for this one. Does anybody think they know how to find the answer for B? I don't know if they looked ahead or if they just remember this. How about f of 0? What would f of 0 be?
0 would just,
I'll move out of the way.
no,
That's okay.
I don't know how to.
You don't have to explain it. You just know the answer. Okay, that's right. I was just giving you a chance. Does anybody think they know the answer for f of 0? Like, even just a guess. I don't know.
Wouldn't it just be like 4?
Good. Do you know how to explain why?
Because there's like nothing on the x-axis, or x equals 0.
Okay. You understand it correctly, but probably hard to explain.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all right. So if I'm trying to find f of 0, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to x equals 0, look up and see what the height of the graph is at 0. And so these are actually much easier than these. You don't have to calculate anything, you just look. F of 1/2, why'd they put those so close together? F of 1/2, you're going to go directly above a half, and then you just guess at the answer. So f of 1/2, I'm going to estimate is 3.5? Sure. And obviously, if it's a question where you're just estimating, it makes close counts. Who went last again? Mark? No. No, I'm not gonna remember. Jake. Oh, I wasn't that far off. Okay, Jake. Who's gonna help me with f of negative 2?
Okay.
Was she trying to avoid eye contact?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would have done the same.
Okay, so you go to -2, and then,
Right there.
yeah, and then you go up to the line.
Okay, so I look to see how high the graph is there.
Yeah, and it's at 2, right?
Perfect. So absolutely, once you figure these out, they go real fast. You're just looking at a picture and answering it. Most people prefer this one. This one is easier probably to explain or to just sort of more intuitive, but this one's easier to do. Questions on either of these two? Okay, that's the first topic. We'll get a little check. Done. I know. Feel accomplished. Now I gotta get used to the new time schedule though. I need to go faster.
What time is class?
Question 28.
Do we have extended or not?
We do not have raptor time, as far as I know. The fact that they did announcements at the beginning of the day is kind of what tells me we don't.
Okay.
Because I think they do announcements during raptor time otherwise.
Today's just a normal week, we'll
Yeah.
get back on Wednesday.
So we'll always find that. Okay, here's the next topic, graphing them. I don't know what you want to write down from there. You guys are your own notes, so basically the whole point of notes is that you can look and figure something out. So like when we get to the chapter test and you forgot how to do something, that's what your notes are for.
Wait, we can use our notes on the test?
No,
Oh.
you use your notes to get ready for the test. So like this, it really doesn't matter for the problem. This is basically what you need, and this. Everything else is just kind of like extra info to help you or to tell you what to do. I now realize, looking at the picture, that I never labeled it. But I'll wait, maybe we'll just label it together, because I bet some of you aren't sure how to label or set them up either. Hadley, is there somebody you want to call on? Preferably over here, so that we can have some variety in the room.
I don't really know anyone else's name.
I don't either, it's okay.
Just point.
Yeah.
Monica.
I thought you didn't know anybody's name.
That's right.
That's safety. You know somebody with safety. All right, that's fair enough. You don't even know the question yet.
Yeah.
Okay, but you look nervous already.
Yeah.
But you don't know if it's hard or easy, like it could be something stupid, like calling somebody else, you know.
Sure.
Okay, so my question. In blue, it says, do not connect the points when we graph this. Now, the rest of that, I figured you guys didn't really follow, which should be all right. Why wouldn't I connect the points? What's the difference between that picture having solid line connected points and this one, when we graph it, is just gonna be points? I kind of mentioned it on the last page, so I didn't know if you remembered. Sort of on the spot. Do you want me to go get a drink and you can like confer with those around you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can do that. Oh, need another drink, all right?
Yeah, one more.
I'm trying to do what?
Yep, that was a no from him.
Um,
Okay.
well,
Monica?
yes.
Can anybody help Monica? There's a couple hands.
What was she?
Right.
Bryce.
Bryce.
It's because the points between the other points haven't been confirmed or have.
Yeah, you don't know the answers between any of the numbers. So on this page, this is called, I mean, it was a hard question, so that's why, don't worry about it. This is called a continuous graph where you know every answer in between. So this would be kind of like what interval notation would be for. This type of information is just set points. We don't know the answers in between 0 and 10. We don't know the answers between 10 and 20. This is just 5 individual points. So this would be like roster notation or something similar to that, because it's just individual things. So we don't connect the lines because we don't know the answers between them. Okay, so age is like the X's. I'll put that on the bottom, so we've got a coordinate here. 10, 20, 30, 40, that's all the farther we go. We start at 0, that's not really an age. Okay, so we've got the age on the bottom. And on the left, we have your heart rate. What? Oh, maximum recommended. I was gonna say, this seems really high. You guys remember what to do when you've got a bunch of huge numbers that are close together and we don't? You have two options. One, we can show 0 to 209 on the left. You also have another option. Do you remember what they do for that?
start at like 150.
Good. So what they usually do is they usually show like the, let me be all fancy like this and pretend that I can't erase part of a line. That'll work. They usually show this little like zigzag. And then that indicates that there's a big chunk missing. And then we'll start at 180 and just go up to 210. Did we lose something? Oh, and you know what? It's probably impossible to grab anything on a backwards desk, isn't it? I never even thought of that. You can't really stick your leg forward to her. Monica,
Yeah.
did you call on somebody else?
No, I didn't.
Okay, is there something you want to call on?
Lily.
Oh, way to be safe. One desk, right next to you. Okay, Lily, how do I grab 0209?
So you're gonna go from 0 on the x-axis, and then you're gonna go up to about where 209 is gonna be.
Roughly 290. It looks like my point kind of covers like 3 numbers, but that's okay. I'm gonna guess most of you guys know how to do this pretty well. Should I just put the points up? Do you guys want me to explain a couple more? Anybody? Okay, so 10202. Oh, that's probably supposed to be farther over, so I'll make it bigger. 2195. 3188. This is super hard to do from the angle. 181. And they recommend a lower heart rate because they don't want you to keel over. Okay, we would not connect them because there is answers for in between, but we don't know them. How are we on this one? Honestly, I felt like you guys would be pretty good at graphing them. I didn't know if we would need to take much time or not. Okay. Last question. Oh, nah. We'll do part of this one. This one didn't give you the table. So if it gives you an equation and you need to make a table, Lily?
Yes.
Oh, getting better, all right. Lily, somebody from over there so that they don't get neglected.
I'm sorry, guys. I really don't know too many people's names.
You point. I got a name check.
Okay. How about? I'm gonna pick on you.
Maya?
Yeah.
Are you ready? How do I fill out that table for 0 or for 20? We're not going to fill out the whole table. We're just going to do 1.
Wouldn't you just put in front of like the table, there's like a variable that says A, wouldn't you just put like the 0, for example, like the, what's it called? H.
Oh, okay, that works.
Yeah,
You were probably trying to think of function.
yeah.
That's all right. H is usually how we describe it as well. Like no matter the class, we would call that H. Okay, so we put 0 in place of A.
Yeah.
So 214 minus 0.8 times 0, which is 214. And the rest of this is exactly the same. You guys, 100%, you guys, I hope you understand you're welcome to use your calculator. Right? You know that part? Okay, then once you got done making the table, then we would do this. The next question I usually get is how do you know what numbers to pick for this? And that kind of depends. This one is kind of the same thing where it's talking about age again, but this chart one goes up to 80 instead of just 40. My guess is most of the time you're going to be given these numbers to use. If not, just kind of pick ones that sort of make sense. I mean, like Maya.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I choose a negative number? Why would that be stupid?
Is it because it wouldn't really like work that way?
No, let me also rephrase. I shouldn't have said stupid. Why would a negative number to put in place of your age not make sense?
Cause it can't be like a negative.
Yeah, that's before you're born, so it doesn't make sense. We're not gonna get into like loophole technicalities here. Yep, we could theoretically have some negative numbers, I guess. Okay, last question. Now, normally, this is where I would say you don't need to write it down, but that's like the whole question. So this portion is the important part to write down. This is just like directions and hints.
Oh, like the pink, blue, green part, that's what we need to write down?
That's like a hint as to how to set it up, yep.
Ah, okay.
Oh, sorry, I guess A isn't directions, that's the actual question. That's written differently than I thought it was. And then we will be done here. And honestly, with the amount of time we should have left, you probably could finish your homework before you go home. Because it goes fast. Let's go with David. David, are you ready to help us out? Semi-related to this question, but not directly. I feel like it's one of the science classes that you do this in, but I don't remember. Let's just pretend you're in a car. Do you remember how to figure out the distance you traveled? How do you do that with the speed and the time? You've got lots of people to confer with. In fact, somebody in front of you has a hand up. Well, then why'd you put your hand up?
Well, I think I know.
Well-
Like, is this a math question or like literally trying to figure out how you know how fast you're going?
They're one and the same. Math is life.
Math is life.
Yeah, I know, it's deep.
Isn't like looking at stationary objects?
You're thinking way too hard.
Oh, my bad.
Miles per hour?
Close. Miles per hour tells you something.
Isn't this like the speed times?
Yeah. Yep. So distance equals rate times time. You're going to get those questions a lot throughout the year. I'm going to guess it's not in Science 9 that you do that one. It used to be. I guess not anymore. Wait, David, are you in 9th grade? Yeah, okay, that's why I picked you because I figured you already had it. Is it Science 9 that you do that when you do distance equals rate times time? Okay, you sound like you're unsure. You don't remember last year at all?
No, I do. I'm not even.
All right. Yes, you take your speed, miles per hour, times hours. And that gives you miles. Now, this one's not miles per hour, it's kilometers per hour. But same thing.
Not really.
It definitely is the same thing. They're distance. They're a different unit of measurement.
An arguably better unit of measurement.
It's an opinion, an arguably opinion. Write a function to represent how much distance is remaining on the trip after a certain amount of time. So, if you guys know you have a 400-mile car ride, and you've traveled 100 miles, in your head, you know that there's 300 miles left, right? You got that answer because you did 400 minus the 100 that you traveled. So the distance remaining is how far you have to go minus how far you've gone. That's where I'm going with this. We're trying to write an equation, that's what a function means, write an equation to show how much distance is remaining on your trip. Okay, now the distance remaining is what we don't know, it's what we're trying to find. So rather than write d or y, I'm gonna write function notation just to practice it. And then the only thing that changes is our time. So t is the variable. So d of t. And it's not like it's wrong if you call this f of x. Just know that. Like, I'm not gonna mark you wrong if you write f of x. I'm just trying to explain why they choose things. Okay, the trip from Tokyo to Kyoto, 380. We have gone 156 kilometers per hour times how many hours? And then you wouldn't write times t, you would just write 156t. But that's the equation. That's it. Like, that's what they're asking you to do. And I know for some of you this is horribly hard, trying to convert words into equations. Some of you it just seems like it's natural easy. Some of you have a very hard time doing it. I get it. Who went last? Mine? Did you go last?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the last person to answer today?
I'll do Aaron. Aaron. She said Aaron.
I don't know anybody's name yet. But I feel bad. I mean, like, point, yeah. Okay, sorry, Aaron. What does 1.5, if I find d of 1.5, what does the 1.5 represent, and what is the answer that we're giving?
The 1.5 represents how many hours you can travel in.
Good, hours. Okay, and what would the answer be when we're done? Not like a number. What would the answer represent when we're done?
Like the amount of distance we have left.
Perfect. How many kilometers you'd have left after 1.5 hours? Good.
46. Already did it.
Good. Fast. Okay, you have 11 questions. I would think that you could be done by 28 if you want to. So 28 is when we get out on non-raptor time days, which seems weird because we've only had raptor time days. And I'm going to do my best to put the homework up on the back wall and try to put it into Schoology, like during my prep today, that's what I'll do. Unless I can, maybe I should put, what do you guys in charge of? Somebody over here at the handwriting?